Mike is a first-time caller in Ohio on the line. Mike, what's up, man? How you doing? Are you there? Mike, come off of mute. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, I've studied politics a long time, and one thing I noticed is just all about race.
It's all about
and
race.
I really wonder if the races will get along. I don't think they ever will, and it's all going to lead to a big race war. And they seem to blame white people constantly for everything, but they never want to move back to Africa. Why don't more people tell them to move back to Africa if they don't like it?
Because that's racist to say that. That's what they claim.
I mean, the thing is, they complain, but they have to live here because if they lived around their own race, they would make $2 an hour and basically live in a mud hut.
Say again?
I mean, they complain about white people constantly, but they don't ever talk about moving because living around black people would be a lot worse. They would make about $2 to $3 an hour in Africa and live in a mud hut.
Yeah, so you think it's all about race?
Yeah, everybody, white people are the only ones that might change your vote. I mean, 80-90% of the time, people, if you're black, you vote Democrat, right?
Right. True.
And it never changes. It's not like next year they're ever going to vote Republican.
Yeah, only a few tends to wake up. And it tends, honestly, even though crime has gone up and down, they've really only gotten worse. The morality of people across, at least the symptoms have gotten worse, seemingly. The things that people support, the way that women of all races really dress, the way that people think is more and more insane. And you're right, the whites are being more corrupted into being for their own self-destruction, just like all the other races are voting for their own self-destruction. Just like Trump pointed out with the liberal Jews voting for the destruction of America and Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy, man.
Yeah, and they talk about diversity, but they don't ever want to mention white demographics and admit that, like, in 100 years, only 1% of America will be white at that point.
Really? Man. Well, we don't know what the future will bring, but that's the direction it's headed. I don't know if you're exaggerating
or
what.
It's just simple math. You can look at demographics. We're down to what, almost 60%? I mean, it doesn't take a genius. People I've read,
I know.
You know, I'm kind of a political expert myself, and I've studied this a long time, and I also talk about race and IQ a lot, and everybody's scared of it.
You know, the white children are already a minority. And when I say children, I mean like probably young adults are already a minority among their demographic. I mean, among their age group.
Well, if you study white flight, you know, obviously white people are just going to keep white flighting, and eventually they're going to all be going to become like me and realize this is crazy. This is like our own self-destruction. They hate us. Yeah. They're not coming because they like us. They're coming for the money.
And unfortunately, the whites are going to go from fear to anger, which is not waking up. You know what I mean? They'll go from kissing up to lashing out. Some of them already are, and that's not the right way.
I think the truth is the only answer for white people is segregation, because fundamentally the whole world always wants to live around us. That's the problem.
But what's
they
interesting
always want to live around us. But in Africa, they don't have that problem because nobody wants to live around them.
People naturally like the freedom to segregate and come together sometimes, naturally. But they don't. They didn't make it natural. They made it.
I think
forced.
People treat diversity like it's a satanic cult, and nobody can ever leave. And I tell people, if you're in a bad marriage, you get a divorce. It's as simple as that. If you don't get along with people, obviously at some point it has to end.
Yeah, this divorce is sort of a different issue, but I get your point though, because
but it's like a satanic cult just to say, hey, we don't get along. Maybe we should not live around these people.
Right. Yeah, it feels so.
They even say that you're in a satanic cult, and I'm not saying that because I hate everyone. I just don't want people that blame us for everything.
Yeah, it's blindness. It's kind of like what I pointed out about telling people go to Africa or go somewhere else if you don't like it here. It's considered racist to be against diversity or to be for segregation, and that's not.
Yeah, and the race. Calling people, they call me racist all the time, but who cares? It's not like science. It's not really a great argument.
Yeah, it's not an argument at all. It's a projection. It's a phony accusation about They're pretending, they're judging you, thinking that you're judging them, and you're judging based on reality, and they're judging based on their own evil blindness and brainwashing. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I think it's like Jared Taylor said. What a lot of white people want, all we want is left alone. That's it. We just want left alone.
I didn't know that Jared Taylor said that. Jared Taylor is the guy from American Renaissance. He's been on the JLP show when I was producer a couple of times. And he's talked about this.
He's a hero.
He is, I met him one time over at Night for Freedom. He attended Night for Freedom several years ago with Cernovich and Milo and JLP and others. And he was interviewed by JLP about this anonymous public defender who wrote an open letter to, I guess it was published in Ameren, about he's a public defender down like in Atlanta or somewhere. And he said that the black defendants, they don't dress with sense oftentimes. They don't show up to their court hearings on time or even show up at all sometimes. And they treat victims of their crimes with just utter disregard for their fellow human beings. They said if they're not kin, so they don't care how they treat their fellow human beings unless they're quote unquote kin. They're somebody whom they quote unquote love.
Yeah.
And that is a spreading selfishness and coldness and hardness of heart and blindness and irresponsibility that is really spreading. It's not just a black thing, but it's bad among the blacks. And that was a remarkable interview that JLP did after reading that little open letter. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't put him in jail yet.
Well, that guy, he did it anonymously. So, I don't know. Yeah,
well, I mean, Jared Taylor just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, but he's very measured in how he speaks. So, but, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And he's smart about not going to these honeypot type of things and to get himself in trouble with riots and protests in conflict with people. I don't think he goes to that
look
stuff.
At January 6th.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
One guy got 20 years.
They're going after the normies. They're going after everybody. It's evil.
You know, a lot of people don't realize in like 50 years or something, the entire world will be non-white.
Do you want to talk with a black caller who likes to confront me over this stuff? He thinks that he's a black Hebrew Israelite. Do you want to talk with John from Kentucky?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me bring in John from Kentucky. Kentucky, John, thanks for calling, man. You're live with Hake and this first-time caller, Mike from Ohio.
Mike from Ohio, the closet racist is what I would call him. Yeah.
Well, if you don't like America, why don't you go back to Africa?
I'm from America. I've never been to Africa in my life, so
I know, but you don't like white people. You don't like white people.
How ignorant can you be?
Africa, bro.
That's like me telling you to go back to Europe or Ireland.
John,
well, it makes no
sense.
I'll gladly go anywhere that I can just live around white people without people like you complaining about.
Mike in Ohio.
That's probably your solution then, man. You need to go to a white country and just leave America.
John in Kentucky. Do you? Because he said that you don't like America. Is that true? You don't like America?
Man, I love America.
Oh, okay.
For what it is for me, but I mean, you're not gonna like everything about it.
It's a lot better than living in Africa, isn't it?
I've never been to Africa. That's why I don't understand why Hake couldn't correct you on that. We're not
you would
from
make
Africa.
about $3 an hour and live in a mud hut.
Do you think? Hold up. Do you think Africa is all mud huts, man? Because that's the ignorance of white people. It's not. It's not all mud huts. It's the richest country in the world. It's just exploited by white people like you.
$3 an hour. Black people have never even set up a good economy, sir.
Listen, you can't compare.
I don't think that it's. To be fair, John, you make a fair point that it's not all mud huts and that it has a lot of resources that are exploited. But I don't think it's fair to say that it's exploited by whites like Mike. It's exploited by China, Russia, some other countries, some white, some non-white. And whose fault is that?
Well, it's been exploited by whites first, up until recently.
The British.
Chinese people.
Well, why are blacks so weak
white.
why are blacks so weak that they let everybody exploit them?
Is that what you think? The blacks are weak?
Well, he said he asked why are they so weak that they let the other races or other outsiders exploit their countries in the continent of Africa. Would that be weakness?
I think he needs to take a look in the mirror and look at the state of white America right now. The stuff he's doing, all this crybaby stuff, that's what all white people are doing now. Y'all have no leaders. Y'all always talk about step up. Who's going to step up? You guys are the weak
then why
ones.
are we always stronger and kick your ass?
Hey, keep it clean, Mike. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Why
Children listen to the show.
We're so weak. Why were we able to exploit you constantly throughout history?
But he makes.
I don't want to get into the biblical stuff because this is what I believe.
Okay.
But somebody like you, Mike, who's calling hate and crying about black people, I mean, you're showing your weakness right now, right or wrong.
No, I just want to be left alone, but you guys want to keep living around.
Well,
you're always moving
leave the country. Go to Ireland. You got the money?
Yeah, if you study white people, we're constantly moving. They call it white flight if you study social science.
Well,
we're
fly
always
right
moving
now.
to get away
Fly
from
somewhere else right now.
He's making an interesting point, Mike.
Moving.
Mike, he's making an interesting point. John from Kentucky is that blacks are weak and complaining because they're exploited. Now whites.
I didn't say that.
Well, yeah. But in response to Mike's statement that that's what's happening, John from Kentucky is saying that whites are being weak and exploited and crying and complaining about the attack on whites in their own countries.
Well, if you study social science, we're constantly
moving right now. Hey,
what's that?
I said I'm thriving in America right now. I don't know what he's doing, but
if you're thriving,
I don't have to run. Say again,
why complain about white people constantly if you're thriving, sir?
Man, I'm just complaining about the negatives of white people. The same thing you're doing right now on this phone. You just want to be left alone. Leave. You can fix yours.
I did. I moved to a white neighborhood to get away from you guys.
Okay, so what are you complaining about?
Well, I talked to politics, and you guys always want to live around us. The whole world is always trying to live around us, and then they don't even appreciate us.
Believe it or not,
it's like me moving to Japan and complaining about Japanese people all day long. Do you think they would want me there?
I don't care about what you just said. But black people really don't care about politics, and the ones that do, yes, they're exploited by the Democratic Party, but I'm telling you, man, a lot of us do not care about politics at all.
Well, how could they? I think that's 60% of black Americans are illiterate. They can't read. They can't follow this.
That's not true. That's not true.
Believe me, the black literacy rate is incredibly high.
Well, I don't know what it is.
You mean illiteracy?
Yeah, the last time I studied it, I think it was like 60%.
It's pretty bad when you hear about the way that they talk. They don't know really what's going on. They have a loosey-goosey relationship with even the facts, whereas other people are very clever and evil and deceptive with facts. They lie with facts. Some of the blacks just lie with lies. Say again?
Well, I have experience. It's a different upbringing.
Yeah, and it's not just I don't know. I think they're worse than in a long time because they've allowed the schools to go to HE double toothpicks.
Hell.
Well, I've studied intelligence a long time. Schooling cannot raise IQ. It really doesn't matter.
No, I don't care about IQ, but I mean just they don't know, they don't care, and they're angry. And when you're angry, you believe lies, no matter how high of IQ you are.
This guy Mike is angry. You can hear it in his voice. He's angry.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean,
he wants us.
Why wouldn't you be angry? Hey, I mean, what kind of point is that? Of course, we're angry. We're tired of living around people like that.
Hey, I want to ask Hank a question, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, is it not ignorant to tell black people to go back to Africa?
No,
depends on who it is. Depends on which black you're talking to.
Love the word
it has to be an African. It has to be an African, right?
or if you're all
ignorant,
some blacks,
get the lowest grades.
In his defense, John from Kentucky, maybe it was ignorant to
Oh
tell
my
you.
God.
No, hold on. Maybe it was ignorant to tell you to go back to Africa because you said that you love it in America as your life. You just accused him of being racist. You weren't accusing America of being racist. I don't know.
No, I was just making a joke. I don't know. If
the truth is, if you're not racist, in a lot of ways, you're stupid because people want to have intelligent children, beautiful children, and they want to live in a safe, low-crime neighborhood.
That's
why people are racist.
Isn't that fair? Isn't that fair, John?
Racism.
Isn't that fair? Like you don't even think that racism is necessarily wrong if it's from blacks, because blacks are the true Israelites. You think?
Well, I got different beliefs. So I don't want to get on those beliefs, but
right.
This guy sounds like a crybaby, man. Like he's your beta male y'all talk about all the time. He's not no alpha male. He's a chump.
Is there any truth to that, Mike?
You can't get rid of racism. You can't get rid of racism because some races are smarter than others, and people always want to have intelligent children.
That's what people always want to go to.
If you're not racist, you're pretty stupid. If you're not racist, you're stupid.
But blacks are the blacks are the most racist, so called, meaning they're the most into their race, and they're that way to a fault.
That's not what racist means, but
yes,
they're that way.
Blacks are all about their own race.
Yeah,
and if white people talk about their race, they're racist.
No,
right.
Well, see, we have different upbringings, man. The history in this country, we had to, cling on to our race and find racial pride because, man, y'all put us down so much. We were oppressed. We had to find pride in our race. So that's different for y'all.
I don't think that's the case, John.
Just go to Africa and you can live around your own race.
But he's an Israelite. He's not African.
That's ignorant.
if you're tired of it, why do you
go back to Ireland, boy? Go back to Ireland.
Are you Irish, Mike?
I told you I've already moved to get away from you guys.
Yeah,
we're always moving.
America's a big
not
place
in America.
So far.
Not in America, man. Go to Ireland.
But John, going back to
they call it white flight.
Yeah.
Just call it crybaby. Scared white people.
Have
you
ever studied social science where they call it? It's called
no,
white
man,
flight?
it's boring. No, it's boring.
I agree with you, John.
Well, you probably can't read.
No, don't do that.
I can read just fine.
You're profiling him, Mike.
You probably can't read.
I can read what
you probably can't read, bro.
Now, I want to go back. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I want to go back.
Idiot.
I want to go back to what John said. He said that we put them down so much that they had to identify with their race. That's not true, man. That's ridiculous.
Yes, it is. Hey, you're not black. How would you know? You're not black.
Why do I have to be black to know that that's ridiculous?
Listen, you were sheltered. You don't know much of how other people's culture is. Like you can only talk about what's in your bubble. You can't talk about what's in my bubble.
But I'm exposed to you guys' bubbles everywhere.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
you have.
I can hear by the way. Okay, you know how you see things about me that I don't even know that I let off. That's how you guys are. We see things about you that you're not even aware of yourself.
Well, no, you have your opinions about black people. That's it.
By and large, no. It's not opinions. It's perception. We perceive you to be insanely into your race to the point where you're just blind. You're pro-race. You're not pro-what's right.
You have to be able to put the shoe on the other foot.
Uh-huh.
Like I've been around whites in large numbers. Like I've experienced that culture. Like I had white friends growing up, so I can take my culture and I can take their culture and I can look at it and I can compare and contrast. You can't do that.
Yeah, huh?
All you have is Jesse and Joel.
And every black caller who's called into my show, and the blacks in Pasadena. And the blacks.
But you haven't lived with them. You haven't experienced the things they experience. You have to live it, to understand it.
Give me an example because you're just talking.
You guys basically lost the genetic lottery. You guys have the smallest average brain, the lowest IQ, the least amount of facial beauty. You have high crime. Nobody wants to live around it. I mean, I feel sorry for you, but I guess
you sound like a Ku Klux Klan member. But did you know that blacks have dominant genes and y'all have recessive genes? Did you know that?
Yeah, that's why we
okay, so what are you talking about?
Color eyes, not just black eyes forever.
But that's all irrelevant.
Actually, soft, nice hair, not nappy hair.
Why,
but that's all basically irrelevant
stuff. That's why my race is growing and your race is decreasing.
Well, that's because we're smarter, and smarter animals have more offspring because we put more time into raising. That's because when we have kids with white women, they're black now. They're not white anymore. Oh, I know. Nice. They all want a white girl because white girls are better looking.
No,
they always talk about
not
white
really.
Women. They always love to talk about white women.
All right, guys, I appreciate the conversation. Mike
black
in Ohio, thanks, man. Take care. Thanks, Mike.
You guys always want white girls. We know.
I got to go, Mike. Take care, man.
You sound angry, Mike.
All right. John in Kentucky, that was pretty interesting, man. Appreciate your call.
You sound angry, man.
The fair point, yeah. He may be a little angry, but like you're not.
Not a little.
But you guys are pointing out true things about each other and not seeing yourselves.
Are you some type of guru or something?
Yeah, I mean, no. People can hear. People can hear that you just. Guys basically just accuse each other of stuff that is partly true about each other.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell anybody to go back to somewhere really because it's just not reality. So I know when I hear a white person say that, they're like the most ignorant people ever.
Isn't it sometimes
it's stupid?
Isn't it? But if somebody's complaining about America and they're all pro-Africa or something, then it's a fair statement.
Just make America better. Nobody wants to go from where they're not from. There's no place like home, man. You heard that before, right?
Yeah.
Just make it better.
Well, all right, man. I wish you well, John, in Kentucky. Great call, man.
All right.
All right, bye.